This is the third arc in what should have been Alien 3 back in the day. This is Aliens Earth War, part 1 of 4. So after Aliens, the original 80s film by James Cameron, Dark Horse got the license for the Aliens comics. And they essentially picked up years after Aliens. So spoilers if you guys have never heard of it. But nowadays, everyone affectionately calls it Alien Earth War. But there was different ones. There was, oh God, what was it? Earth Hive, Arkham, Nightmare Asylum, and then the Earth War. And I think it was called the Female War. There was books done by Steve Perry, I think was his name. And I've read all of them. I'll eventually go over them on the After Dark channel. But it was broken up into 3 comic series. The aliens overrun Earth. Newt, when she was rescued from the Sulaco, is put, her mind is wiped by the government, and she's thrown into an insane asylum. Hicks is allowed, because he's a grunt, is allowed to remain, saves Newt, and it just becomes a nightmare ride once they find out that Earth was taken over. By the end of the second book, Ripley comes back. Newt, at this point, is a full-grown woman. She just thought Ripley was kind of this character in her mind between the mind wipe and the drugs that the hospital kept her on. So now she's finally confronted with the woman from her dreams. Now this is Mark Verheiden, writer, Sam Kieth, artist, Jim Massara doing the lettering, Monica Livingston doing the colors, Diana Schultz doing the editing. This was printed June 1990. Now, here's where we kind of get reacquainted with what happened on Acheron. Planet LV-426, Acheron, terraforming colony. When I was young, I knew a little girl named Rebecca. Her friends called her Newt. She had a doll named Casey. The two would stare for hours as man-made storms battered their tiny settlement. The adult colonists found their new environments cruel and unrelenting. But the little girl had known nothing else. To her, the planet was home. The warmth. She wanted all what all children wanted. The warmth and security of family. The human connectedness that comes from belonging. And the artwork's just absolutely gorgeous. I love how they use the panels here showing Acheron and, of course, the terraforming reactors. But here we just see that overarch of what's going to happen on Acheron. It just really adds to this horror of this world. What she got was a nightmare without end. As the demons raged, Rebecca sought shelter in the cold steel maze beneath the planet's surface. She listened for the screams, and when they died, she listened for them. She wasn't mature enough to understand the true horror of her situation. Perhaps that was all that saved her. Then one day there was a new sound, rescue. To the child's eye, the soldiers were frightening as the monsters, with the exception of a corporal named Hicks and a civilian observer they called Ripley. She wasn't like the others. She understood. Out of the Marines, only Hicks survived, if you could call what happened to him survival. The alien blood could burn through steel. Imagine what it could do to a man's face. And through it all, Ripley was there for the little girl, and in the end, she prevailed. So we're kind of getting a recap of Aliens here. And then we come to the present, seeing Newt now as a full-grown woman. The last thing Rebecca could remember was Ripley's face comforting her as they prepared for the long trip home. When the little girl awoke, she learned the meaning of betrayal. Ripley! Where's Ripley? Rebecca died a frightened, lonely survivor named Newt took her place. She grew up alone, a prisoner of her own nightmares. If it wasn't for Hicks, she would have died in that hospital. Now we're at Gateway Facility, Earth Orbit. So if you're wondering, what's Gateway? Remember the beginning of Aliens when Ripley is rescued? The Narcissus is finally found in that hospital that she's in, and we see the exterior of the planet. Not the planet, the space station. That's Gateway Station orbiting Earth. Years of pain, of being alone. The little girl grew older and came to hate Ripley. You rescued me from the aliens, and then you abandoned me. Christ, Ripley, after all these years, why'd you have to come back? I don't owe you anything, Newt. I did my job. Whatever happened after that you're a liar. I want an answer, and I have to know why. think I wanted to leave you? I watched you as you fell asleep. Then I went to find my own peace. It was over. And then she's woken up. How long? About 3 days. You'll start feeling better once. What the hell do you mean 3 days? Travel time to Earth is weeks. Still is. Your mission's not over yet. Bastards. Miserable bastards. So we see the Sulaco and this other ship. They essentially want to take Ripley back to LV-426 to get specimens. Tell me if these ship names or these crew members mean anything to you. Dallas, Parker, Kane. Names mean anything to you? You know they do. They were the crew of my first ship, the Nostromo. And he's talking about how when she blew the Nostromo, how all records were lost except for what Ash uploaded to the Narcissus. And she actually gets to see the helmet cam of Kane's helmet at the incident. Did you wake me up for my advice? It's real simple. If Acheron's still intact, if any of those things are still alive, drop a nuke and waste them. See, I know how this ends. They all die. And just this horrid look of when Kane looks down on the egg. Ugh. So this guy, Hankerson, essentially gives her an ultimatum. He goes, I'm going to make it easy for you. This is a scientific expedition. That's all I need is a guide. What's the bribe this time? Reinstatement? Back pay? I'm not going back. Discussion over. You're acting like you have a choice. Jesus, you think you can threaten me after everything I've been through? Threaten? No. But I'm going to have reliable first-person information. And if you're unwilling, I can always wake up the corporal or the little girl. We can just see how rotten Weyland-Yutani is. She says that Hankerson only gave her 2 hours to prepare. I spent those last minutes with you. Don't you see, Newt? I would have done anything to protect you. Play along with Hankerson's expedition. Return to face those things. Even leave you. So now we kind of come into the crew that she meets, and she's seeing how everyone's acting cocky. She's saying that, they think that the Marines that went before, that Hicks, oh my God, I can't remember Bill Paxton's character's name, Hudson and Vasquez. She says this crew thinks that crew was unprepared and too cocky, just how those Marines thought that the people in the Nostromo were the same way. And so they're trying to kind of give Ripley a hard time. She goes, you don't think much of us, do you, Ripley? Doesn't matter what I think. If it did, we wouldn't be here. Christ, it's a simple in and out science probe. We'll run a preliminary recon, pop off some high laser images, and then trot back to the APC before the creatures knew what get serious told. You think they sent you out here for a few snapshots? But what do you care? You're following orders. Hauling those things back to Earth is just another job. And when it's over, when they've won, what are your precious regulations going to do then? Don't preach to me, Ripley. I didn't volunteer for this mission, and I'm not one of your faceless, stupid grunts. Glad to hear it. Maybe you'll get the chance to prove it. And everyone's just overtaken by what they see. The atmosphere, of course, is ravaged by the nuclear explosion of the reactor, but the derelict is still in one piece. And everyone, just look at the way these dark colors add to that ambiance. And before she knows it, shit starts happening. It started slowly, an electromagnetic synthesis I can't pretend to understand. The Marine must have triggered some sort of power source inside the alien vessel. It followed his life support signal like an electronic snake entering the APC's communications deck. It was more than simple energy. It was an intuitive living force. It took control of the APC systems, reprogramming the tractor's smart computer to understand a new language. The readouts flickered with a litany of indecipherable information. All that was left, the dead pilot's mind. Our machines used screens and visual readouts to deliver data. The derelict's computers went straight to the source. It spoke to me. So while death and destruction's happening, she has a premonition of the Queen Mother alien. We assume the aliens' infestations were sporadic, arbitrary, that they bred wherever they had convenience, like some horrible cancers. We were wrong. They move with purpose. She's calling her children back to her. And I just love this light blue to kind of give this visual representation of what we're going for. Ankerson's asking, what the hell is going on? It wasn't intended for us. We intercepted the mission. It was an accident. It was, what did you see? Course trajectory, star fields, the alien's genesis, a mother's desire. This is better than I ever dreamed. Do you have any idea what your information is worth? Once we set back to the Harrison, we'll transmit the coordinates back to Earth. They'll have a ship armed and ready within hours. Wait, what about the squad? They were dead before we touched ground. The corporate's genetics team thought we might be able to use them to breed specimens. But that doesn't matter any... matters to me, you little shit. The others are dead. Join the club. The corporation was filled with men like Hankerson. If they found a way to control the alien, it was only a matter of time before they unleashed the things on Earth. So Hicks says, so you've come back to save us. And how the hell are you going to do that? So Ripley explains that the reason that she hadn't been there for Newt is the company's pissed that she killed Hankerson and destroyed the mission. They were hunting for her in Tully, and then I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but they get lost in the outer colonies. And it wasn't until the Earth fell that they came back. And this gentleman, I cannot remember his name for the life of me. I go into Ripley's Genesis world and using the alien the way it's been using us. And then blowing the ugly bastards straight to hell. So this is the start of the Earth War. And guys, oh my goodness. One thing that I want to preference, so if you go and read the novelizations by Steve Perry, I think is his name. After Alien 3, the movie, came out, these essentially became extended universe. So when they did the novelization and any reprints that you find of this, they renamed the characters. So Acheron becomes Rem. Ripley, I think, is like an android or something like that. It's been so long since I've read it. Newt becomes Billy, and Hicks becomes Wilkes. And so same story essentially, just with a lot of stuff that's canon that was changed. So if you're going to read these, make sure it is the original printings with our beloved characters, because Newt and Hicks are major heroes, and of course Ripley is as well. And if Fox would have gotten their head out of their ass and followed either the novels or the comics rather than going through the production hell that was Alien 3, I feel like they could have broken up Alien 3 into 3 parts instead of giving us 3 in Resurrection. Anyway, if you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop where you get your action figures and comics, and pick this series up. I'm trying to get the first 6 issues along with Nightmare Asylum, but those are so damn expensive. So if you all know where I can get like a cheaper version of them, please let me know. If you've enjoyed this review, really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little Xeno bell, next subscribe. That way as I continue to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with you on hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments or the socials, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.